This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get a lot of new information about the upcoming Halo Infinite. Naughty Dog is hiring for a multiplayer project. Wink, wink. Square Enix is having an event later on this week. And if you're anticipating Dying Light 2, news is coming very, very soon. All of these stories can be found and a lot more here on episode 168 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for checking out another episode of the podcast. Now, if you would like to be a part of Wednesday's upcoming listener feedback episode, you can do that two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is simply theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. So this week, guys, I didn't have too much to report back. Haven't really had a chance to play any games, so without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump into the gaming news. So let's start things off with Square Enix, because it was announced that they will be having a digital showcase, which will happen on March 18th, 2021 at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's being reported by Farhan Mirza that it will be 40 minutes long. And according to a PSU article, they will be covering the next Life is Strange game that'll be released. Outriders will be there. Marvel's Avengers. Balan Wonderworld. Don't know what that is. Just Cause Mobile. And Tomb Raider's 25th anniversary. Now, the things that get me excited about this is seeing Marvel's Avengers. I'm taking it that during this event, they will more than likely show some of the enhancements that you can find on the PlayStation 5 version and the Xbox Series X version, as well as Tomb Raider, the 25th anniversary. Hopefully they'll have some upgrades with that as well, maybe higher frame rates, maybe better resolution. We'll have to wait and see. As far as everything else goes, I'm not sure. It's rumors out there that are saying that during this event, which I highly doubt, that they will be talking briefly about when we can expect Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. I just don't see that happening, but that is the rumor. Well, let's go ahead and move on into the next story. Let's move on and talk about 343 Industries, because in a Q&A, more details were given about Halo Infinite. So it was revealed that a day and night cycle will be in the game, as well as a weather system, which will consist of windstorms. Now, 343 did say that snow and rainstorms could possibly make it into the game in the future, but don't expect anything when the game launches. Now, by the way, just to let you guys know, I did get this article from Comic Book. They're the guys that I got it from. Got to give them their credit. Now, they did say what enemies you come across and how they will act. Well, how they will act will change depending on the time of day. Now, the game will feature wildlife, and it will vary across the different biomes that you travel to. The Pacific, quote, the Pacific Northwest, end of quote, is the primary biome, but sub-biomes will add different environments like swamps and war-torn areas. Now, they also spoke on exploration and said that these areas will be partly limited because the game isn't a true open-world experience, but missions will allow you to approach situations in multiple ways due to the open-world-like design, and because of this, you can stray from the path and explore different side content and objectives. However, they did say that the main story is the main story and needs to be completed in order. but there's freedom between these missions. Now, there will be no dual wielding, which is a huge letdown. No dual wielding will be in the game. You won't be able to play as any elites. It will have audio logs. It will have the ability, you will have the ability to knock things off Zeta Halo, which I think is a first. You will have random encounters, bases, outposts, and dynamic cutscenes that react and change depending on time of day, weather, and what weapons you're holding. And finally, players can only hold one piece of equipment in multiplayer, and once you use it, it's gone. But there are plans to allow players to modify this via custom games. So here we have a lot of information, man. First off, the weather system, only having it basically be wind-based, that's a bit of a letdown, but maybe sometime in the future getting some snow, knocking enemies off of Zeta Halo, that's interesting. The cutscenes, and I guess one of the more, like I mentioned, it's actually two things that kind of are a bit of a letdown here, is not just the dual wielding has been taken out, but the game is not open world. It's semi-open world, and I guess that's better than nothing, but I was hoping that it was going to be a more open, an open Halo, one of the bigger, more open ones we've ever seen, but it doesn't look like that's the case. But it is cool to hear that you will have freedom between the missions and actually able to attack different missions the way that you see fit. So it could be very interesting. Seems like the game is shaping up to be pretty good. And I'm still, I'd be lying if I said I'm mad excited about this and I'm over the moon. I'm not, but I do like some of these features that they're talking about. Sounds very interesting, and we'll just have to see what the progress of the game is looking like once it releases. But let's go ahead and let's get into some Ninja Gaiden Master Collection news, because when I saw this at the Nintendo Direct, I had quite a few questions, like what the world is going on with this? It looks like it's been untouched, but at the time I didn't know this until later, but it was revealed that it's also coming out for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One or the Series X. Now, this is the thing. Thanks to the Microsoft Store, a few of my questions have been answered. Now, it appears that the game will in fact run in 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. Now, that's not the only piece of information that I found very interesting. The head of Team Ninja, his name is, and I'm about to butcher this brother's name, Fumihiko Yasuda. He said, and I quote, "I hope that the day will come soon when I can provide information about the next game in this series, which I've been continuously saying that I want to develop. But until then, please play as Ryu Hayabusa in the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection." End of quote. So it seems like this brother right here, he is trying to do another Ninja Gaiden. It was rumors going around. It's always rumors. Half of this show is about rumors, so it's never a shortage of that. But it was said that possibly Microsoft, since they did have Ninja Gaiden exclusive to their platform, maybe they would make some kind of deal with the guys over there at Team Ninja and get them to develop another game. Hey man, the lead guy seems like he wants another crack at it. So, hey, Microsoft or Sony or Shugs, Nintendo, somebody, give this guy a crack at it. Maybe he can make something great. But as far as I'm concerned, the 4K resolution and the 60 frames per second for the collection, that is pretty cool. Not too bad. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. Now, if you're a Dying Light fan and have been looking forward to the sequel Techland said this, and I quote, "We've got a few words to share with you about the Dying Light 2 development process. Be sure to be with us next Wednesday." End of quote. So March 17th. Get ready, man, because it's getting ready to happen. Now, also in the Gaming Bible article, they mention that fans should get acquainted with the Dying Light Discord because that will be the first place to hear the news. So if any of you guys have been looking forward to this Dying Light 2, the sequel, make sure that you tune in on Wednesday, March 17th, and you'll be able to get, hopefully the information that you're looking for when it comes to this game. We shall see. Let's move on into the next story. Now, this is coming way of an article from Comic Book, but rumors about the Switch Pro continue to heat up. And this latest rumor is coming from Game Reactor, who is claiming that NVIDIA will stop producing its Tegra X1 Morrico processor this year. Now, this is the same SoC, or system on chip, used for the Switch and the Switch Lite consoles. And if the Bloomberg report is correct, this would make some sense because the alleged production of the Super Nintendo Switch, is supposed to start later this year. But as always, like I say with rumors, take this with a mustard seed of truth. Let's go ahead and move on into the next story. So in quick news, it was revealed on the official Xbox podcast that Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Prey, the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, and Dishonored Definitive Edition will all get FPS boost, taking the games from 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second. Now, the Yahoo Finance article I got this from did say the podcast did get an edit at the 14-20 minute marker, which did edit out Larry Herb and Jeff Rubenstein, who is Xbox's senior communications manager, talking about this information. So maybe it was premature, but nonetheless, it looks like it's happening, and that is great news. Game Pass got, 20 games over this week? And it really bolstered it up quite a bit overnight. And what I wanted to do to celebrate Game Pass getting 20 games, the deal of Bethesda finally coming to not a close, but a beginning, and them closing all of the paperwork and all of that stuff out. Get your pens and your paper ready. I want to give out a month of Xbox Game Pass here. So this is the code on the doggone joint. 30 days, 1 month of, matter of fact, this is Ultimate, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So if you were interested in the service and you have not tried it, give it a shot. But I'm going to give you a warning. If you don't pick this up, Crimson Phoenix, I'm guaranteeing you, he ain't going to let you breathe on this one. So if you want it, I would suggest you try to redeem it ASAP. So here we are. This is the code. It is PMV3HF970JYH23MHH69CZ. Write that down. Hopefully you guys win. Let's jump back into the gaming news. So, what do we have here? Yeah, in PlayStation news. Now I stumbled across this, but it really was me truly stumbling across this story. Wasn't even looking for it, but it seems like on March 21st, according to a Bloody Disgusting article, that is the name of the people, Bloody Disgusting. Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan Asia has announced the, quote, play, end of quote, event which will start at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is a first because here on the East Coast, we always start late. But this is great. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it looks like it's going to be roughly about an hour. And it is being described as, quote, a talk show that makes you want to play, end of quote. Now, it will feature in this presentation, you will get more information. Well, we will get more information on Resident Evil Village and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So if those are two games that you love, or you hopefully, I don't know about Resident Evil Village because none of us have played that yet. So, I mean, the jury is still out on that one. We'll have to see. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's out. It's been doing well. Matter of fact, God, dog, shout out to PlayStation for giving it away for free. Good gracious. But if you want more information on both of these, the Remake Intergrade and Resident Evil Village, check this out. Once again, it'll be happening on March 21st at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And more PlayStation news. Naughty Dog is hiring for a multiplayer game that the candidate will ensure robust longevity for the studio's games, as well as, quote, design, implement, and tune game economy and player progression systems, end of quote. Now, I did get this from IGN, but the candidate will, quote, create avenues for self-expression for our players, end of quote. So you might be able, it seems like you might be able to customize your character and, yeah, probably put some clothes on them. I don't know, maybe some tats. Who knows what you might be able to do. But also the, quote, robust longevity, that suggests that the game will be supported over the years, potentially incorporating live service features. But Naughty Dog is also looking for candidates experienced in, quote, player psychology, end of quote, and, quote, narrative tone, end of quote, which could suggest it could be a story threaded throughout the experience. And speaking on that, now, The Last of Us, let's talk about it. It's another rumor that's going around, and this rumor is coming way of Game Bites. They are reporting that a single player DLC is planned, and it's coming way of a 4chan leaker whose name is UZYL. I don't know how to pronounce that. Uziel, something like that. I don't know. But the guy Uziel is saying that the DLC will focus on Abby instead of Ellie. Now, we know that Naughty Dog said at one point in time there was no DLC planned for The Last of Us Part 2. So I don't know if we should be looking for that. I highly doubt it. But Neil Druckmann did say about a week or so ago that they can't wait to share some things with us. Things are being worked on and are coming down the pipe, and they will let us know as soon as they can. So who knows if this is true or not? We will have to see. But since we are talking about Naughty Dog, have you ever wondered why they stopped working on Crash Bandicoot? Well, I know I did. I really was wondering, man, why the world did that cease and, stop? Well, to give us a bit of a deeper look into it, co-founder of Naughty Dog, Jason Rubin, he spoke with Games Radar, and he revealed this. He said, quote, our relationship with Universal had gotten to the point where we couldn't continue to make Crash Bandicoot games. Although we loved Crash Bandicoot and we loved working with Sony, it didn't make any financial sense. Universal owned the IP, and there was a hostility there that was just brutal. End of quote. So it seems like the deal pretty much went sour. Stopped making sense financially. They liked working with Sony, Universal Interactive at the time, which I had forgot that they even owned that IP. But just seems like the situation just got bad. They probably, I guess, got not even probably in it. They got upset with one another. the relationship just got toxic, so they had to stop working with each other. But hey, it happens. But in the final story of the week, now I gotta shout out my brother AB for this story, but according to Twitter user Astal, was spelled Astal, the next two companies that Microsoft has their eye on to acquire is not just Sega. That God dog, this just sounds like ain't no darn way. But this guy Astal, Astal, he's saying that they're not just picking up Sega, but they're also trying to acquire Konami. Yeah, I don't know about this. I think this is highly, extremely doubtful that this will happen. I'm thinking about, can you imagine how expensive this kind of deal would be? Look, they just did a $7.5 billion deal. I just don't see this being a possibility. I mean, look, you're talking about Sega, all of the IPs they have, and I get it. Microsoft and Sega have been tight for quite some time, since the original Xbox shugs, since the Dreamcast days with the Windows CE on the front of the Dreamcast, but I just can't see. Maybe Sega more so than Konami, because I can't even remember a time when Xbox and Konami even seemed like they were tight. I could have definitely believed Sony picking up Konami because they've had like a real relationship with those guys, man, over 20 plus years at this point. So I don't know. I highly doubt it. I would love for them to pick up Sega. Man, I can't even say that, man. Y'all know me. I don't think Microsoft needs any more acquisitions. I think that they're good. They got 23 studios officially. They have Bethesda. Bethesda has not only IPs, but tech. And they're talking up. Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week, which there will be no video game theater this week. Man, why is my speech always messed up? I have no idea. But yeah, instead of playing video game theater, I want to go ahead and play a quote from Phil Spencer, and we will get into the final section of the podcast.
Now, we know you all have a lot of questions. We've gotten a lot of questions since we announced this deal. But one of the biggest ones, Phil, is this question about exclusivity and how you think about that and how that's going to work with Bethesda.
Yeah, I see it. I see it in the community. I listen to the podcasts and all the questions. So I'm going to try to be as clear as I can because that's what I just think it's fair. So obviously I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is exclusive because we know that's not true. There's contractual obligations that we're going to see through, as we always do in every one of these instances. We have games that exist on other platforms, and we're going to go support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities, and we'll continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be things that have either contractual things or legacy on different platforms that we'll go do. But if we're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building and the creative capability we will be able to bring to market for our Xbox customers. It's going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here.
You guys heard what Phil Spencer said. Now, first off, I do want to say this. I want to congratulate Phil Spencer, the team over at Xbox, Microsoft, for really closing this deal. It is a huge, I would have to say, the biggest acquisition we have seen in the history of gaming, and it should be celebrated. Microsoft, they needed some new yes, they do need new IPs, but they need exclusives. And here it is. They literally bought a publisher, doggone Bethesda, with several of their games, their tech, several of their teams, intellectual properties. Y'all know what I'm saying. I'm being long-winded with it, but it's fantastic. And I do want to let you guys know I enjoyed the roundtable discussion. It seemed very genuine, seemed like they were having a good time with one another, cracking little jokes here and there. I like the fact that Pete Hines, he asked Phil Spencer about the exclusives, and I thought that Phil Spencer gave an honest answer. He didn't beat around the bush. He answered questions that I had. And I understand, that he does have some contractual agreements that were done before they actually acquired Bethesda. They're going to see those through, and they're going to continue to support different games that are on different platforms as it stands right now. That's what they're going to do. Now, Phil Spencer, he did say something that was very interesting. He said that he wanted Xbox fans to know that, these games will be exclusive to Game Pass, wherever Game Pass exists, on whatever platforms Game Pass exists on. Now, that right there, now we know that Game Pass, that is the play. That seems like that is the final level. It just seems that way with Xbox, with the Xbox brand. So what I want to ask you guys, and y'all saw the question, and I was kind of going back and forth with it, but I'm going to ask it. Is Phil Spencer making the Xbox console irrelevant right now? Now, hear me out. Here it is. He said that these games will be available on Game Pass. Game Pass. And he said that Game Pass will be on other platforms. Now, we understand Game Pass is on PC right now. Game Pass is on mobile. Soon, Game Pass is going to be on Samsung TVs. You got 3 different options to get these experiences of these exclusive games. In some cases, for less than what an Xbox console costs. And don't get me wrong, when he says platforms, you know what clicks into my mind. PlayStation and Nintendo. I'll say this. Looking at the way Phil Spencer looks at things, he's trying to reach these 2 billion gamers by hook or by crook. And I think that he would not hesitate to put Game Pass on both the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 5. He would look at it as, look, we're giving people more access to the games that we have. And I'm going to tell you, if Phil Spencer ever does that, it is game over. It is absolutely a done deal. I will not be getting an Xbox console. I will just stick with the PlayStation. And people can say, well, it's just going to be a streaming app and all of that stuff. Whatever. You give me the option to play your games on another console that I own already, it's over. And that's why I'm asking the question. Is Phil Spencer making the Xbox console irrelevant, giving people so many options to play these exclusive games? Once again, exclusive. Wherever Game Pass is, that's where these games will be. I mean, already it feels like that if you own an Xbox, you are being treated like a second-class citizen. Once again, PC, they're in first class. They don't have to pay for Xbox Live. Console players do. PC players get true exclusives. You had Gears Tactics. You had Flight Simulator. As much as, I don't know, I'm turning the corner on Flight Simulator. I kind of want to see what that's about right now. I ain't even going to lie to you. But at one point in time, it was still exclusive to the PC, where when you look over on the Xbox side, anything that comes to Xbox, it is on PC day and date. And Phil Spencer said that wasn't going to be the case. Once again, a bit of a knock towards the Xbox console. Then you talk about having this Xbox Game Pass service on other platforms. You can play it on your phone. You can play it on your PC, and you will be able to play it on your Samsung TV at one point in time, because they do have that deal with Samsung. So here it is. I'm seeing the end game here, and I'm telling you, it seems like that they're trying to make basically Game Pass an app and pretty much become a third-party publisher. It just seems that way. I don't know. I'm not going to keep on harping on and on about it. I am excited, though, for the moment, to see what they're going to talk about over the summer. They did say that they will be doing an event. It is a time to be excited. It really is. You know, if you're an Xbox gamer. As it stands right now, it seems like there will be real, true exclusives to the Xbox ecosystem via Game Pass. So that's something to definitely be happy about. But at the same time, it just makes me wonder, is this really gonna hurt the console in the end? And if this is part of the plan as well, I know they're not gonna try to sabotage something that costs billions of dollars in development costs, and you know however much it costs to do that. But it just seems like, once again, they are definitely making the console less relevant. So that's the question this week. If you want to be a part of the conversation, I would love to hear from you. You can call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I wanted to ask you guys, now you might have noticed, we're at 31 minutes. I feel good about that. I feel great. Now, what I want to know from you guys is, I mean, look, you got to switch things up. You got to get feedback, from the listeners. Do you guys prefer this shorter length of a podcast, getting the stories in, keep it moving, and try to keep it short? So just want to know, let me know if you guys prefer this 30-minute, format, slightly longer possibly, and we'll see what we can do. Or if you guys like for me to keep on talking, because I listened to one of the podcasts and I said, God dog, brother, you are talking a lot, a whole lot. Maybe you need to calm the heck down, get through these stories, and get these good people out of here in a timely fashion. So y'all let me know, and I'll make the adjustments as I need to. But, man, I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell. Once again, thank y'all for being here. Truly appreciate it. Before we do officially wrap it up, though, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. Oh, gosh, Microsoft. Oh, man. It is about the game. So until Wednesday, when we go over the feedback, until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.